Huh? There. Oh. Huh? Durr.
Hey now, and welcome down to KCToyreviews. We are here today with the Omnipotent Hero by SooSoo Toys. And yes, that's one hell of a strange name, but lieth in front of us is Omni-man from the hit comic book by Robert Kirkman, Invincible. And of course now is a Amazon Prime series, which I highly suggest for everybody to check out. But for now, the focus is on the figure in front of us, and unfortunately, there is a few major flaws. So, if you're at all curious what those are, let's hold each other's hands, fine-comb those details, and dive right the hell goddamn in. Cha-ping! Alright, so here we are with Omnipotent Hero, aka Omni-man. Now, personally, I am a massive fan of the comic book line by Robert Kirkman. I've read every single Walking Dead, and after Walking Dead, I needed to digest all of Robert Kirkman's work. And then, of course, I was very excited to hear that Amazon Prime launched a show of Invincible, and they did it justice. The show was fantastic, and I am very excited for Season 2. And I'll be honest, I do stress that a little bit because I always do get annoyed when I see reviewers out there reviewing things that they've never watched or heard of. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, and I'd like to know that the person that's investing their time in reviewing something actually knows a little bit about the source. However, that's just my opinion. Now, again, the elephant in the room is, why the hell do we have it in this really weird shot? And it's probably very obvious to some, and that's because of the cape debacle. Now, if you have not heard, the cape on this guy stains very fast, and in fact, so fast that mine is already stained within an hour out of the box. I'm not sure if we are actually going to pick it up on camera, but on this elbow here, and then the points kind of throughout the back here, are already starting to get a little bit of a red shading on them, and again, I've had them out of the box for maybe an hour or so. Now, it is very disappointing to know that it stains this easy. And yes, I saw the ridiculous posts and video by SooSoo and other people saying to put this thing in water overnight or hot water, and then some absurd claim about putting Vaseline on it or a piece of plastic in between. Like, what the hell kind of message are you sending to your fans about putting Vaseline and plastic on your collectibles? It makes no sense whatsoever. At that point, we should just be buying a statue if there is that much maintenance involved right out of the box. I mean, I really am going to hammer in. This is an absolute joke in a 100% debacle on SooSoo's part. I have owned many red capes over the years, and they did not stain the product. And I see people defending this. Oh, well, it's okay. It's great that they were telling us. I think what happened was they got all the way to the end and they said, oh, crap, this is staining all the products. We just need to put out a message versus saying, hey, we're going to step back, remove these capes, and figure this out and delay this for another 6 to 8 months. Personally, I'd rather have the delay with a superior product versus a Vaseline suggested cape that stains. Secondly, we had to install this thing. I mean, I'm no expert. But again, well into this game over 10 years, I've never, ever had to install a cape on a 1/6 scale figure. How freaking lazy of a request was that? And it's obvious because they didn't want it to stain in the box, but maybe do what the Batman do. And, you make like a slit in the case behind them, you pull it through, and he's still lying on his white back, and the cape is pulled through the back of the box. Nonetheless, having me install my cape on a 1/6 scale is ridiculous. It was not easy, and there are going to be people out there that say, oh, it was absolutely easy. I am a 6'2" giant. My hands are huge. It was not easy for me to get those little clips in there. And at the same time, I'm obviously a little nervous because of the pressure and strain that I'm putting on the suit as I'm doing it. So installing my own cape was really, again, just a joke. So here we are installing our own product. It's staining itself out of the box. I just do not know what to say. I am just absolutely baffled by this. And of course, all of this is paired with a message that says, put Vaseline on it, soak the cape overnight in water. I mean, Jesus, for $200. Are you kidding me? That is freaking crazy to even suggest such a thing. So anyways, I just wanted to really hammer in and stress that point that this cape thing was an absolute mess. And it's not that it looks horrible or anything, just the whole suggestion of Vaseline soaking it and already staining the body is extremely disappointing. Alright, so zooming back out to this point, taking a look at the head sculpt, clearly SooSoo used a little bit of creative freedom because it doesn't exactly look like the show nor the comic. It's more of a quote-unquote realistic interpretation, I guess, that they were going for. And it's not that it's bad. I mean, I do see that you could possibly use this as a J. Jonah Jameson head sculpt if you were going for like a Spider-Man custom or anything like that. However, for some reason, there was a slight disappointment on my part because it did stray too far from the comic interpretation, in my opinion. And that is strictly just an opinion on my part because I get it. It does look good paint application, slight glisten to the eyeballs. Overall, it's sculpted fantastically, and it fits nice on the body. So this one and the Yellen head sculpt are really, really nice head sculpts. So again, just in my opinion, it looked too much different from the actual source. And as we start to kind of make our way down, I had to say this part's a little sloppy. I don't know if we can kind of make it out on the camera there. But there's just kind of like this big gap between where the suit sits on top of his body here and the way you had to install the cape. It's not that it's horrible. It's just it sits on top of a sculpted piece of plastic, and then you have this nice kind of fabric suit on top of it. The contrast doesn't work, in my opinion. And it's not that it's horrible. It's just something about the transition of these two pieces does not work. And if we make our way down to the suit itself, I think it's nice. I like the fabric. The O in here is imprinted very nicely. It hugs and fits the body nicely. However, it leads to another issue. The body that SooSoo used on this is, again, a piece of crap. I mean, he's basically a rock man. The arms moved slightly. I mean, that's about almost as far as I can get that arm before it's going to snap or anything. So that's about the angle I can get that arm. I think the suit is tailored well. It fits and sculpts around the body. It's just, man, he's like a rock man. You can't get the arms past this angle. And then again, this bend here, that's about as much as you can get that bend on the arm there. And similar to the transition on the neck, you have this transition on the hand that, again, looks really sloppy. Like, if you see how big that wrist piece looks there. And then on this side, it just looks like it's kind of like his shirt's too long and it's going over the fist of the glove there. Now, if we take a few steps back and look at him as a whole, it actually looks pretty good. I think it has good shelf presence, and again, the head sculpt's pretty decent if you weren't looking for a comic-accurate version. Yes, the transition between the wrist and the hands are very visible, but I don't think it's to the point where it pisses me off. And it's sad to say, I think I do see even a little bit of staining on the front of my guy here. So I see a little bit of red on the actual front of him, which is, again, extremely disappointing for the price point. And then quickly to note, in his right hand, you do have the flaxen head. If you remember, if you are familiar with the comic or the Amazon Prime series, there is a point where the flaxen is invade, basically beat the crap out of Invincible, and then when Omni-man steps in to help, he goes to their homeworld and basically kills them all, which was a pivotal point to show you how mean, how badass, and how strong Omni-man actually is. And then just kind of a quick zoom in on the flaxen head. Again, really fantastic. Good paint application. There's an actual bloody neck to it. It fits in his hand nice and snug, so you actually can take that out of the hand. It's not sculpted with the hand. Overall, it's a really nice accessory that came with this piece. Now making our way down to the feet in the stand, it's worth noting the articulation in the feet is absolutely piss poor. Trying to move the foot around actually made it fall off several times. It does have a split kind of design there, so you can see right there where it pivots, but man, it was really piss poor articulation down there. I'd say actually the best articulation out of the figure were the knees. I think they are double jointed knees. And I would say that articulation in the elbows is far more important than the articulation in the knees. I mean, knees are the last thing that I care about. I really care about the arms, the elbows, and the shoulder area and how I can move and pose him above versus down below. So yeah, I can pose those knees well, but the feet and the arms, piss poor. And then of course, lastly to note, we do have a branded stand. If you're familiar with SooSoo toys, they always include this exact same type of stand. Personally, I actually enjoy them. I think they're decent quality. However, on this one, I am very disappointed that the only option included was a waist grabber. I mean, I really gotta say, the longevity of this figure is effed. I mean, you're basically screwed. You have a cape that's gonna stain the crap out of him. There's already some stains on the front of my guy. And then you're only gonna include a waist grabber? I get it, it gives us that dynamic flight poses that everybody wants. But not all of us want to keep him in that pose because we do care about longevity. After time, this will grab that waist, it will indent it, and it will 100% damage this figure. So very disappointed that they don't give us the option of a dynamic stand and a crotch grabber. Let us go back and forth perhaps for pictures and then having him stand for the long run. Because again, with the staining cape, this waist grabber, this guy's screwed. Basically, my money is out the door. I will never make it back if I try to sell this guy down the road. And before we take off from this shot, one last time to hammer in, check out the transition between the hands and the wrist there. And before we start to round this out, we saw the 2 head sculpts. We see the flaxen alien head sculpt, and then the last accessory would be the baseball glove that he used to play with his son, Mark. And as far as this horrible Vaseline staining cape goes, I mean, I don't even know what to say. It's pretty bad. I mean, it is just a really stereotypical piece of cloth that's on him. The wire through here feels like, especially at the bottom, that it could poke out or something could happen to it over time because it's just very fragile feeling through there. If anybody's ever owned the Hot Toys Deathstroke, the way his bandana was, very similar feeling. Similar to SooSoo's The Last Son, aka Superman Kingdom Come, the wire stops like right here. So it stops here, and then there's no wire up to the neck there. So not sure what's going on with the decision with that. So overall, the cape is a piece of crap. I mean, I really need to stress, this is one of the biggest piece of crap capes I've ever seen in my 10 years collecting. And not just aesthetically and visually, we're talking about a piece of crap cape that looks okay and stains our figure. I mean, blatantly and factually stains our figure immediately once it's outside the box. So we have this really simple fabric cape that stains our figure. It's a piece of crap. I mean, I don't know any other way to say this. This is the biggest piece of crap that's ever been introduced into the 1/6 scale market. SooSoo Toys, I have given you absolutely raving reviews on some of your figures in the 9s, to the point where I've started to say you were the top of the line third-party company. And it's very sad to see that you are dropping over and over in quality time after time on these figures. You were the best. You were going to be the next Hot Toys, and now you have fallen. You have fallen down the ladder. I still think, similar to my other reviews, what's happening is that SooSoo Toys has a massive demand. Everybody in the group's throwing these absolutely ridiculous requests at SooSoo Toys, and they're trying to meet everybody's demands and pump out way too many figures in way too fast of a time frame. SooSoo Toys, I'm going to say it again, slow down, relax. We don't need 20 figures a year from you. We want 10 high quality figures, not 20 okay figures, because the past releases have all been okay. And I could think of stuff like Gambit, which is probably to this day one of the best figures on the market. So please, SooSoo, slow down. Extend your release times and release less. I promise you it'll be better for you in the long run. Do not get greedy and focus on quality over quantity. And there we have it. Omnipotent Hero by SooSoo Toys. And yeah, that is one awkward name. And as we start to wrap this up and slap a score on this guy, some final closing notes. For starters, I'm going to hammer it in one last time. This debacle with the cape was absolutely ridiculous. I am perplexed that SooSoo would even release such a collectible and ask its customers to soak a cape in water, apply Vaseline, and separate the cape from the body with a piece of plastic or whatever the hell preposterous thing they asked for. It's ridiculous. I'm not going to do it, and nobody else should have to jump through those hoops. This is a $200 figure. I expect it to arrive immaculate. I don't want to install the cape. I don't want to soak the cape, and I don't want to touch Vaseline. I hate Vaseline. It's disgusting. It's gross, and it's very difficult to get off your hands. So what in the world were they thinking with quality control on this guy? On top of that, the body that they used is a piece of crap. I mean, the thing was like a goddamn rock out of the box. This guy is so heavy, it's perplexing. And I guess that's cool. I look at that as a quality thing. So it's a very heavy figure. Again, you could take that as a good or a bad thing. That's totally up to you. But the articulation on the arms and the ankles was horrible. Piss poor articulation. And on a superhero, which in the front cover of your goddamn box has his arms crossed and you can't even replicate those poses, it's just an odd choice to go with that body style. I think the suit on top of it fits nicely. It looks nice. As I've mentioned, when we take a few steps back, overall this guy does look good. He has some decent shelf presence, and I am very excited to get Invincible right next to him. As far as accessories, well, you have the flaxen head that we still haven't shot now. We have the baseball glove, 3 pairs of hands, and 2 head sculpts. And of course, a branded stand on top of all that. Yes, I'm disappointed it wasn't a crotch grabber, but at least we have a stand. So as I mentioned earlier, I just went for it. I threw the cape on him. I didn't touch gross Vaseline or anything of that sort. I didn't soak it. It's probably going to destroy my figure. So I am just assuming a loss on this one, because I do plan on keeping this until somebody comes out with a better one. So with all that said, as far as a score on this guy, I mean, I hate to say it, it's got to be a little bit lower because of the cape debacle. We're looking at a 5.7 out of 10. I'm sorry, SooSoo. I mean, if the cape was good, if we had better articulation on this guy, he would easily be an 8.7. So at a 5.7, I'm not sure I can necessarily suggest this guy. If, like me, you're willing to take a loss and know that when you put him together, you might never be able to sell him, then yeah, I'd probably suggest him because he has some decent shelf presence, as I've mentioned. Once he's paired with Invincible, aka Mark, his son, that shelf presence is going to go up another notch. So I like what I see as he twists and turns in front of us. I'm just disappointed at the bones of the figure that we have, and the quality should have been controlled better. But ultimately, all my bitching aside, we have an Omni-man that fits on our shelves in a 1/6 scale collection, and that's something to be happy about. There are other versions that have been out there, but I think they're around $400, maybe $450, so this one's kind of right at that affordable price point that we are all accustomed to. And lastly, I would say again, SooSoo, just slow down. Please get back to the days of quality over quantity. Rorschach, Gambit are prime examples of absolute masterpieces that you have produced. So that's going to be it here for us today at KC Toys. Omni-man, 5.7 out of 10. Hopefully Mark, aka Invincible, is going to be a little bit better than this guy. See you guys next time.
Huh?